At what moment did you realize you were dating an idiot? She was out for a run one day, and when she came back she said an animal charged at her, so she cut her run short. I asked her what it looked like, and she said, like a cow, but brown. It was a cow. When he told me, quite seriously, about how people with enough willpower can survive by photosynthesis. Level 24 vegan. He was getting his license renewed and they asked him if he wanted to be an organ donor. He said no. When I asked why, he told me it was because he didn't want the government to come knocking for any of his organs when he still needed them. He really thought that becoming an organ donor meant that, at any time, his organs could be taken. I asked him about the class he was taking at community college. Him, it's going okay. Better than last year. I failed it twice. Me, must be a hard class. What's it about? Him, learning strategies. He failed a class about how to learn. Twice. Driving down the road and the moon is visible during the day. Her, how is the moon out at the same time as the sun? Me, sometimes that happens, it's not that uncommon. Her, no, they are the same thing, so how can we see both at the same time? Me, the sun and the moon are two different things, are you serious? Her, yeah, not everyone went to college like you schoolboy. Me, you learned this in like second grade. She was in her early 30s. I've had a very similar conversation with a friend of a friend. She also wouldn't fly at night because the plane might hit the stars during the trip and she didn't want to risk it. Boyfriend took me to a fancy restaurant, and we ordered wine. When the waiter came back, he gave my BF the cork to sniff. My BF grabbed it, sucked on it, and licked it like a lollipop, all excited, while the waiter looked uncomfortable, poured our glasses, and slunk away. I can't decide if this is idiocy or comedic genius. He wrote a love poem about my brown eyes. My eyes are green. He was not colorblind. He was trying to get laid. Poorly. He decided that he didn't want to poop while staying with me in student halls, so he didn't poop for 10 days and seriously messed up his digestive system. I was living in student halls which were nothing more than bedrooms, bathrooms, and kitchens. It was a half an hour walk away from the university itself. His excuse was that he has anxiety about pooping places he's not familiar with, around a lot of people he did not know at the time, as it was quite near the beginning of our relationship. When he answered his cell phone in the movie theater and proceeded to have a loud conversation with his dealer during the movie. If I recall correctly, it was weed, but in Arizona in the 1990s, it was still a terrible idea to broadcast it in a public place. She threw a butter knife at a light bulb in a crowded restaurant because she didn't like that it was flickering. The knife went over the back of the booth and missed the waiter by a foot. He had a mini heart attack. What? Everyone knows you throw the salad fork at those. No proper manners at all. The butter knife is only to be used to put out scented candles. When she told me that she'd never been to France, I knew for a fact she went to Disneyland Paris every year. Paris isn't in France, she insisted. There are a fair amount of French people who would agree with her. He truly believed that you regrow your virginity after 6 months of no sex. We were out having a few drinks. He said his tooth hurt. He just pulled it straight out of his mouth. I guess it was rotten anyway, but holy shit. Who the hell does that kind of thing? My dad did this at a wedding. I think it was my mum's cousin. Broke his tooth a few days before and it started to really hurt him. He decided to get hammered on champagne before the dinner and yanked it out in the bathroom. Mum was not impressed, and I was laughing my ass off. Turns out my dad has a crippling fear of the dentist, and he saw it as his only option. He actually believed that if you had money, it was because God thought you were a good person, and only bad people were poor. The truly ironic part of this was that he couldn't get enough work to make a living, and had to ask his wealthy father for handouts all the time. I was trying to carefully manage the breakup since we worked down the hall from each other, when he decided to dump me because he didn't like who I voted for in the election. He shot himself in the leg twice while cleaning it. The same gun. 2 weeks apart. Yes, cleaning the gun. 9mm. Shot himself in the calf the first time, then took out his kneecap the second time. Same leg. Took months of surgeries to fix it. Jesus Christ, who the hell cleans a loaded gun? You don't. He was probably fucking around with it like it's a toy. That's probably the BS excuse he conjured up. When she thought flashing red lights on the road, as in traffic lights blinking red, meant you were entering a different time zone instead of indicating a stop sign. If only life were that interesting. Was on a hike and was following a trail I had read up on online. We get to a fork and I say, "Okay, now we need to go north," she says. "Haven't we been this whole time?" Confused, I look at her and ask why she says that. She replies, "North is the direction in front of you, yeah?" Still not entirely sure about the origins of that logic. He insisted that women cannot be doctors, only nurses, and vice versa. He said that the two are the exact same thing except one is male and one is female. He was in his early 20s. All dogs are boys and all cats are girls. My ex was the oldest of 6. We had been dating for about a week, both 20. I commented, "You have wide hips for a man," he replies. "It's from carrying children." I was totally baffled till his youngest brother walked in, and he picked him up and held him to the side, rested on his hip, as you do with toddlers. I had to sit him down and explain that you don't get wide hips from literally carrying children around. My ex thought that whenever I missed his call, the phone would still be ringing even after it went to voicemail. I got at least 3 voicemails a week that consisted of silence and the odd annoyed, impatient sigh, waiting for my wife to post. When she surprised me by inviting her mother on our 16-day Hawaiian cruise. You know there is a fine line between an idiot and a sadist that secretly hates you, right? Watching a wildlife documentary and my girlfriend asked me if bears laid eggs. Oh wow, Halloween is on Friday the 13th this year. No, it's not. When he said that buying condoms was too awkward, then defended it by saying contraception isn't a big deal anyway. Also when he said that a man can't rape a woman if they're married. We aren't dating anymore. She tried to argue that we could get to the moon easier if we just built a spaceship that could go underwater, and flew it through the ocean to the moon during the daytime rather than straight up. What? I think the logic is that the moon is underneath us during daytime, so why not just go underwater and reach it then? That the past was black and white. She was serious when she stated that an onion turns black after being cut because it's absorbing toxins from the air. Jesus. My wife said something like this not long ago, when I found pictures of her with another guy. It was on our shared home PC, not hidden. When she pointed up at a bluish star and sincerely asked, "Is that Earth?" What a strange, surreal question. I get vertigo from even reading that. When she told me that babies could only happen if there were love, and the only way to get pregnant from a rape is if you loved your rapist. We went to Grill House and she was amazed to learn steak came from cows. Also the fact bacon and gammon came from the same animal confused her. I was shopping with my girlfriend and she said she wanted steak. I picked up some and she said, "No, that's beef. We need steak." I feel your pain. Cows? I thought it came from a beef. I showed my wife this thread and she reminded me that I used to think yeast infections were a result of eating too much bread. Yeah. We were sitting there stargazing having a good time and all when she blurts out, "Nickelbrick, do you think that our son might be a star?" Being totally genuine about it. We were both in our high school's elective astronomy class at the time. She thought Scotland was its own island, as in separated by water. We live 30 minutes from the border. We have both lived in England our entire lives, which makes this even more shameful. She was a pretty hard-line vegan and proceeded to order gelato for dessert. I had a vegan customer order a Caesar salad from me. I told him we used old-fashioned Caesar dressing, so it had sardines and wasn't vegan. He told me that sardines are mythical like mermaids. Enjoy your mythical salad. This guy was for sure not trolling me. It was a small town. I knew about him long before I had that run-in. He was slightly smarter than the regular we had there who squeezed his bagel to get the gluten out. I never realized how blessed I was to never date idiots up until now. Or maybe you're the idiot? Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.